Hi guys! So today we are going to be doing my top 15 books of 2024. Yeah, this is 2025. My word guys, it's 2025. I last year I think it was top 17 or something because I ranked just all of the 5 stars I had. But this year I read so many more books and I had so many more 5 stars that would have been impractical because we would have been here forever and ever and ever. And so instead, I'm doing my top 15. I managed to narrow it down to top 15. I'm also in a rocking chair, so if I just naturally start doing this, it's because I'm in a rocking chair. And I should soon have a more permanent set. Really excited about that. I right now I'm filming in a location you will hopefully very rarely see. This is baby's room, but baby is asleep in another room, and I wanted to be close to him and everything else. Like, all my bookshelves are downstairs right now, the ones that actually kind of have books on them. So long story short, I'm in the baby's room because I want to be able to hear him if he starts crying when he wakes up, because he'll cry when he wakes up because he always does. Anyway, without any further ado, I say that every time. I really need to figure out another way to say that, but anyway, let's just get going with my top 15 books of the year. Number 15 is 8 Cousins by Louisa May Alcott. I really enjoyed this. It reminded me a lot of my own childhood because I had a bunch of cousins I was really close to, and I spent a lot of time with them. Especially one in particular was a guy cousin, and since this was Rose and all of her boy cousins, I really resonated with this story. Didn't love the sequel as much, but I really enjoyed 8 Cousins. Yes, it did get a bit didactic at times, but it was a very fun read. And again, part of it was just the way I grew up. Just made me love this book. Next is The Dragon and the Stone, book 1 of the Dreamkeeper saga by Catherine Butler. I need to read the rest of the series. I don't know if I've checked to see if my library has them. Surely I've checked. I'm not sure. Anyway, really enjoyed this one as well. It kind of reminded me, it's a little bit Narnia-esque, like Narnia and also Dream Treasures by Wayne Thomas Batson. Very much like those two kind of combined, but middle grade still, because Dream Treasures is more YA, I think, than middle grade. But basically, it's about this girl who's lost her dad, and she goes to this Dreamkeeper's realm, where I don't remember everything about this because I read this really early in the year, but I do remember it was just really fun and whimsical. She goes there, she's trying to help stop the bad guy. I don't remember who it is. A normal fantasy plot. She accidentally drags along a guy from school who is not the nicest. Very much, very Eustace-like this guy was. But yes, really enjoyed this book. It was good. Next, at 13, I have the Story of the Treasure Seekers, which is sort of standing in for all of the E. Nesbit that I read this year, because I read a lot of E. Nesbit this year. I didn't read a lot. I need to read more. I read 3, I think. Railway Children, Story of the Treasure Seekers, and 5 Children in It. And they're all basically sharing this spot. They're all 5 stars. Loved this series so much, or these books so much. I need to read more of her. Yeah. Basically, she's a classic whimsical children's author, and The Railway Children is about a group of kids whose I think their dad owes people money or something, and so them and their mom move to this small house out in the country near a railway station, and they get out and watch the railway a lot, and so yeah. Railway Children. The Story of the Treasure Seekers is about these kids who learn that their parents have money troubles. Again, that happened at least twice. And so they decide they need to help their parents, and they go out to try to find treasure. And then 5 Children and It, there are 5 children, 5 siblings, and they discover this Samid, as I think it's called, and it grants 1 wish a day. But it's very much like genie-like, and it only lasts the length of that day. But it's very genie-like in its wishes, in that be careful what you wish for, because it's not going to turn out well 99% of the time. I feel like they should have caught on. Anyway, but I really enjoy these, just the whimsy and fun nature of them. Y'all, I just remembered one book are a couple books that I really loved that should have been on here. Whew, so we're going to have top 16 because I can't not include these. I'll actually just throw them here because basically they go here as well. Alice in Wonderland. I loved Alice and Through the Looking Glass both. They were really, really great. Really, again, fun, whimsical books. So, yeah, we'll put them here. Whoops. Next, number 12, I have Librarian of Boone's Hollow by Kim Vogel-Sawyer. This book was fantastic. It's not normally a time period I like. I don't normally like books. I've started changing a little. I've started coming to like more books set in America. More recently than the Civil War. Usually, up until this year, I thought that books set in America, after that cutoff of Civil War, I would probably not love, but I have several books on this list that are set in America in that time period that I really like. So, I guess my taste changed back to, because I used to like them. So I guess my taste changed back to what they were. But anyway, this was a really sweet book. I loved Addie, the main character. Basically, it's during the Great Depression, and she has to go and get a job, and she gets a job as a pack horse librarian, meaning she goes up into like the Appalachian Mountains and takes books to the mountain people who need access to a library but don't come into town, or and she delivers them books, and it's about her adjusting to, because she's from the city, so she's very much fish out of water, so she's adjusting to that. And then there's also this guy who went to college with her, or who she met briefly at college, who also lives in this town. And just, yeah, I loved this story. It was so sweet and precious. And Addie is such a wonderful main character. And also Nanny Faye. Love her. Love her to death. Alright, number 12, Stealing the Preacher by Karen Whittemire. I gave book 1 in this series 2 stars. And I gave book 2 5 stars. Did not expect that would happen, but it did, because book 1 had a lot of content stuff that I don't love, but book 2, oh my goodness. Okay, so I made a video earlier this year in October, and I've mentioned this several times, about how I hate the trope of bad preachers, evil preachers, and just, I want good preachers in books, partially probably because my dad and my husband are both pastors, and I see what people don't see necessarily. If that makes sense. Like, to me, I think a preacher, I know there are bad preachers out there. Obviously, I know there are. But I don't personally, and like, also, with my dad being a preacher, I know a lot of preachers. Personally, I don't know any. Like, yes, you're going to have your Benny Hinns of the world, I'm going to call them out, your Joel Osteens. Like, you're going to have those kind of people. And I'm not saying that those are not bad preachers, because there are bad preachers out there. But your average normal preacher, from where I come from in my world, your average preacher is going to be a good guy who loves the Lord and just wants to do his best in the community. So I get mad at bad preachers in books. Stealing the Preacher by Karen Whittemire had the best preacher I have ever read in a book, bar none. Excluding any like biblical fictions about Paul or about Peter. Obviously we're probably going to portray them well, but I love this book so much. So the main character is Crockett Archer, the preacher of the title, and my favorite preacher in fiction now. He is going to this town to be interviewed as a preacher when he is kidnapped off of a train by an outlaw. This outlaw lets him know that his daughter, the outlaw's daughter, wanted a preacher for her birthday. And he kidnaps him because this outlaw loves his daughter to death and gives her what she wants. She gets mortified. This is not what she meant, Daddy. What are you doing? And so she basically just asks the preacher, Crockett, she asked him to be praying that their town would get a preacher back. Because that's really what she meant, is that she wanted their town to get a preacher. She did not just want to speak to a preacher for a few minutes and then, yeah. Well, it turns out that the church that he was going to interview at hired another guy while he was distracted. And so he stays there and they fall in love. That's probably not a spoiler. I mean, considering the genre. It's historical You probably know that. But anyway, Crockett was just incredible. He loved the Lord. He loved his word. He preached good sermons. And the thing that really impressed me was that he was not afraid to have difficult conversations with the people of his flock. It'd be spoilers if I told you exactly what happened, but basically someone in his congregation was being very sinful and doing things that would have messed up her reputation, basically. And he went to her and he told her, biblically, you need to stop doing this. And just like, I'm sorry, I don't think I've ever read a preacher in fiction do that. And it's like, yeah, that's life as a pastor. You have to do that sometimes. And so I loved this book. This was incredible. Good pastor representation. We love to see it. Number 10 is A Lady's Guide to Marvels and Misadventures by Angela Bell. This was a recent read, so it could be a little bit biased because of that, but this was such a fun book. It was sort of a steampunk Nutcracker retelling. Like, do I need to say any more? It was a steampunk Nutcracker retelling. Kind of. It was more a little bit inspired by Nutcracker. There wasn't much of a retelling to it. But, yeah, it was so much fun. Clara was a great main character. I loved her journey, like faith journey. Anyway, Clara, the main character, is going insane because her mom loves animals so much. And her mom basically is like, not really PETA, but whatever the organization is that's like trying to protect endangered animals, that's her mom, except for all animals. Her mom loves her mom loves all animals that she comes across, even the ones that she probably should not be loving. And Clara's uncle is also a very eccentric clockmaker Clara's grandfather is Drosselmeyer. He's a clockmaker. He makes other steampunky kind of things too, like automatons. And Clara is very worried that someone is going, because Clara had an uncle who was in the army who died in an insane asylum. And Clara is worried that someone is going to come and try to take away all of them to an insane asylum. And so she is spending her time trying to keep her mother's craziness and her grandfather's craziness, I'm using that loosely, they're not actually insane, under wraps. She's trying to protect them because she has an awful ex-fiance. Anyway, in comes Theodore, who is the love interest, obviously, and she thinks he is a spy for ex-fiance. And he becomes her grandfather's apprentice in like 2 seconds, and she's like, Grandfather, you probably shouldn't be doing this. And he's like, oh no, it's fine. And then her grandfather flies off in front of everyone in London, off to the continent on a fun adventure. And she's just like, and so her journey was really fun, and their scavenger hunt following the grandfather all over England or Europe was really fun as well. And yeah, it was great. I loved this book so much. I kind of thought it might be Christmassy. It wasn't really. The ending was at Christmas, but like it wasn't that Christmassy, so you could read this any time of year. It was great. Loved it. Highly recommend. Highly recommend all of these. These are my favorites of the year. I loved all of these too. Again, favorites of the year. All right, number 9, Lady of Lanaria. I don't really know how to say it, but I loved it. Rapunzel retelling, basically. Very strong Christian themes in this one. Loved the Rapunzel. Was her name Rapunzel? The Rapunzel character. No, I don't think her name was Rapunzel, but I don't remember what her name was, if it wasn't. Anyway, loved her. She was great. Precious. Loved the love interest. He was also sweet. Hated the Gothel character. She was the worst. She might have been worse than Tangled Gothel. Like, that is saying something. She's definitely worse than the Golden Braids Gothel, because the Golden Braids Gothel was, like, bad, but not the worst person in the world. She was very bad, but she was kind of sympathetic, sympathetic villain. This Gothel was the worst. I'm sure if you read it, you're thinking of the scene that I am thinking of right now. But anyways, I adored this book. I love fairy tale retellings. This is an incredible Rapunzel retelling, and if you haven't read it, you really should. Number 8, Ariadne and the Fire Rose by Christy A. Cole, a fellow booktuber. I loved this book. It was so precious and sweet. I loved, so basically this is a story about a girl, Ariadne, obviously, who, she I'm blanking now. Okay, her parents died. She goes to this all-girls boarding school, basically, where they're trained to fight and stuff, and as well as, like, plant things. I remember that. And they, like, cultivating plants, gardening and stuff. And there's, like, not elves, but, like, gnome kind of creatures. I don't really remember what they were called. Sorry, Christy. I don't remember what they were called. But it was a really sweet book. Really loved it. There were definitely strong Christian allegory themes in this. Not necessarily, not allegory, but like Christian values, I guess. Christian values, Christian themes in this book. It was really great. I loved it. I will definitely be trying to get my hands on anything else Christy writes. Because I read this through Kindle Unlimited, which I don't have anymore because I was doing a free trial. I read a lot of these through Kindle Unlimited or the library. It's very sad. I only own 3 of these books. I'm like, these are my favorites of the year, and I only own 3. I probably should own more, but yeah, money. So anyways, but yes, I loved this book. Loved it so much, and looking forward to anything else Christy writes. Number 7, In This Moment. I did really love by Gabriel Meyer, Timeless series. Yes, booktube trope of everyone loves the Timeless series. Almost everyone. There's a few who don't, but most people love the Timeless series. I did also really like the 3rd one. I haven't read the 4th one yet. I got it for Christmas. Spoilers slightly for my book haul, which should be my next video, I think. My Christmas book haul. What was book 3 called? The Twins book. It was the Twins book. Book 2 was the 3 Time Moms book. Book 3 was the Twins book. Wow, I cannot remember what it was called. Okay, When the Day Comes, For a Lifetime. For a Lifetime. I got them out of order just on my set. Okay, that's funny. I really enjoyed For a Lifetime, gave it 5 stars as well, but In This Moment was my favorite. So that's the one that technically made the list, but it shares the spot with For a Lifetime. And I really love this series. In This Moment, like I said, was my favorite. It had a great twist that I did not see coming. So did For a Lifetime, admittedly. But I don't know. I just really liked the main character. I really liked Maggie. In This Moment. I liked the main characters for 3 fine as well, but I really loved Maggie. She was really precious. I will say that I didn't see what was to be liked about the other 2 love interests. Like, there are obviously potential love interests in every timeline. Did not see what was to be liked about 2 of the love interests when she fell in love with them, with one of them in particular. I didn't understand that part. But anyways, I still love this book. I think she made the right choice about her love interest. Believe me, she made the right choice. But, yeah. This was my favorite of the series so far, I think. And I'm looking forward to getting to Across the Ages, because I have heard that there is a good preacher character in Across the Ages, so I am really hyped to get to that book. Unfortunately, it'll be on the bottom of my TBR probably, because I'm so hyped to get to it, because I am weird, and I read from least hyped to most hyped. I know, that's very weird. Who knows why I do this, but I do this to myself. I think it would encourage me to read the less hyped books so that I can get down to the more hyped books. I don't know if that's really how it works in reality, but that's my brain compensating, like thinking, yes, this is how this is going to work. And I'm like, I don't know if that's actually how that works, but okay, we'll do this. All right, next, number 6, The Green Ember Saga. All of them. Like, all of them. Not just like the 4 books, but like all of the books, because there's extra books. So this starts out as this fun and whimsical Bunnies with Swords books, and it gets darker. It very much gets darker, but it is still Bunnies with Swords books. The Bunnies with Swords are precious. I love them. And bows. Bunnies with Swords and bows. Don't forget the bows. There are some with bows as well. Well, there's not, again, kind of like Ariadne, there's not specifically Christian elements. There are definitely Christian allegories to it. And, again, I keep saying allegory. You know what I mean. This one actually kind of has a little bit more allegory to it. I would actually count this for allegory. If you're doing my challenge and you read Green Ember, that would kind of count for allegory, I would think. But anyways, yeah, so I love the Bunnies with Swords. It's very sweet and precious, and I think everyone should read the Bunnies with Swords. That's number 6. Bunnies with Swords. If you like swords, and then you will probably like the Bunnies with Swords. It's a lot like Wingfeather. If you have read Wingfeather Book 1 especially, or really just, I think the themes in Wingfeather and the themes in Green Ember are very similar. If you've read both, let me know what you think. Because for some reason in my head, I am correlating these. I don't know if I've read anywhere that, like, one of them inspired the other or anything, but I think they're very similar. Like, they remind me a lot of each other. So, yes, really recommend Green Ember. And I think, anyway, yeah, I'm not sure. I'll cut that part out. All right, number 5, the Bleecker Street Inquiry Agency series by Jen Turano. So this was my first Jen Turano series, and I loved it. It was my favorite thing. I immediately turned around and read another Jen Turano series. My library has a third series that I have not read yet because I was like, do I want to read all of the books that they have by this new favorite author of mine? No, not immediately. But I do. I mean, I want to read all of them, but do I want to read them all back to back and leave me none for later? And I was like, no. Let's not do that. Let's wait, and we'll save some of them for later. But I adored this series. It was so fun. Basically, the premise of the series, and I didn't pick a book to put. I just put the whole series. The premise of the series is that these women. I'm pretty sure it's in New York. Not positive on that, but I'm pretty sure it's set in New York. Like early 1900s, I think it was. They basically form a group of female detectives who are investigating these things for women who aren't normally believed by the police. That's who the police don't normally listen to them or don't give their problems any, credence. So these women say, okay, we'll investigate it. And I adored that premise. I adored this book. It was a really great book, really fun series. Yeah, just highly recommend. Very funny. Jen Turano is very funny. So I really enjoyed that as well. Book 2 was my favorite of all of them, I think. I think book 2. Book 2 was the one about the writer, right? Yeah, I liked book 2 a lot. Yeah, book 2 is to right or wrong. Yes. Love book 2. Love all of them. Books 1 and 2 were my favorite. Book 3 was less favorite, but still 5 stars. All right, number 4. The Wars of the Realm trilogy by Chuck Black. This series was incredible. If you don't like spiritual warfare and you don't like violence, you probably don't want to read this series. But if you don't mind violence and if you like spiritual warfare, strongly recommend. So the main character is Drew Carter. Yes, Drew Carter. I was trying to think if that was his last name. He is he's an atheist. It's kind of important. He gets in this physics accident with his friend to where he can now see what he thinks are invisible aliens, basically. If you are a Christian reading this book, you are reading this the whole time, screaming at him that, no, those are angels and demons. What do you think you're doing? You should pay attention to your one Christian friend. He has one Christian friend, Sydney Carlisle. Love her. She's precious, wonderful, queen, adore her. She is amazing. Love Sydney. Love Sydney a lot. But yes, I really love the series. Book 3 was incredible. Book 2, although so book 1 is about Drew. Book 2 is about Drew's guardian angel, sort of. It's complicated. But basically Drew's guardian angel. And then book 3 is about Drew again. But we also have a lot more of the guardian angel at that time. And I really liked book 2 as well. Book 1 was probably my least favorite, but books 2 and 3, and the twist at the end, the ending, I really loved the series, yeah. And I am so excited to get to Starler Legacy, because that's the only series now by Chuck Black that I haven't read, I think. I've read Kingdom, and I've read Knights of Arthur, and now I've read this. I don't think there's any more. If there are, let me know. But I think it's Kingdom, Knights of Arthur, Wars of the Realm, and then this series, or the Starlord Legacy. So I'm really excited to get to Starlord, because I love both of his other series, so I'm pretty confident I'm going to love that too. Alright, 3, the Blaze of Actar series, by Trisha Mingrink. I had been hearing Celestria and Reese and Sarah, from Sarah's Tangled Tales, and Reach from Writing Songbird all hyped this series, and well, we won't mention that yet. And I was like, I feel like I should try this. And then I discovered they were all on Kindle Unlimited, and I'm like, I feel like I should really try this. And so I did, and I loved them, and they were wonderful. Basically, the plot is Leith is the main character, sort of. Leith and Rena kind of fight for main character. I'm not really sure who's the main character, honestly, of the series. If you've read it, let me know who you think is the main character. Is it Leith or is it Rena? I'm not confident. I think it's Leith, but I'm not confident on that. Leith is a blade for the King of Akatar. And the blades are basically assassins, which is not good. And the king has made Christianity illegal. Basically, yeah, made Christianity illegal. And Leith is injured in something unrelated to that, and stumbles into the lives of Rena and her little sister. And Rena is a healer, and even though she does not want to heal a blade because she is a believer, and she's like, blades do the king's bidding, and the king's bidding is bad, and blades do a lot of bad things. Because she is a believer, she says, all right, but the Lord would want me to, heap burning coals on my, love your enemies and heap burning coals on their heads and all that stuff. So she gives in, she finally starts, she cares for him, heals him, and then he starts questioning lots of things. And oh my goodness, did I love this series. It was so good. Yeah. It's Christian fantasy because it's not set in the real world, but it is still, like, they refer to Jesus, and like it's specifically Christianity, not just like, Narnia, it's Aslan. It's Jesus. It's just Jesus. And like they have a Bible and everything. Yes. Really highly recommend this series, especially if you like fantasy, non-magical fantasy. So I think all of my fantasy on this list was technically like what I would consider non-magical. I'm going to make a video one day about what I think of as non-magical fantasy. And like what the difference is in my head. Because I have a weird definition of non-magical fantasy. And I didn't go with that with my bingo board or my challenge for this year, my 2025 reading challenge. But I didn't go with my definition of non-magical. But I went with the more normal definition, I would say. But I would like to talk about my definition of non-magical one day. Anyway, with that, all that being said, this is non-magical. Definitely, like, no question. So that's number 3. Number 2 is the Ilion Chronicles. Also hyped by Celestria and Reese and Sarah. And also other people do. Like, other people have read this on BookTube as well and also hype it. I think Carmen from Carmen Janae has read it. I know Amanda from Book Lover Amanda read Resistance. The book one. Lots of people have read it. And the hype is real. This book is amazing. This series is amazing. Love. So this, while Blades of Aktar is a lot like Paul, there's a lot more Paul in its whatchamacallit. Blades of Aktar is a lot more Paul in like its storyline. This is more Daniel. So yeah, that's really fun. So the main characters, again, kind of unsure who the main character is. Pretty sure it's Jace, but it could also be Chiron, but I think it's Jace. Jace is a former gladiator who was rescued from that life by a sort of, was he actually a gladiator? Did he ever actually fight? If he wasn't, he may not have actually fought in gladiator combat, but like he was being trained to be a gladiator. Rescued from that life by this wonderful man. We love him. Who is, he's basically a believer. And then he takes Jace off. Jace is, like, half human and half, I don't remember what his other race is, but it's like elves in Lord of the Rings, like, humanoid races. It's not weird. It's not weird stuff. Very much, humanoid. Other humanoid races. But, I don't remember what his other... Ryrick, maybe? I think that might be right. Anyway. most people are scared of Jace because of his being half Ryrick, because Ryricks are considered very dangerous. And he basically thinks he has no soul. And through this guy's love and patience, and through the influence of other people as well, he has a wonderful character arc, and love Jace's arc. Jace's arc was incredible in this series. The other main character is Chiron. Chiron Altair. Does Jace have... Right, that's part of the plot. Chiron works for, like, she is in a training program for basically smart people who were brought in to serve the Emperor. And it's funny, except the Emperor worships false gods. And she's a believer. She's not going to do that part. But she's going to serve the Emperor as best she can. Well, things happen, and Chiron is revealed to be a believer, and therefore she has to leave the Emperor's employ quickly, shall we say. And it's just a wonderful story, wonderful characters, wonderful plot, wonderful world building. Just, I loved this series so much. Like, I haven't done it yet. I'm going to have to rewrite my favorite series list for this one and for... Actually, there's like 3 series from this video that I need to put on my favorite series list. 3 or 4 series that need to go on my favorite series list. Oh, baby's waking up. That's number 2. So what on earth could be number 1? Winnie the Pooh. I read Winnie the Pooh for the first time this year, and also the second one, The House on Pooh Corner. And those are incredible, and if you don't like Winnie the Pooh, I question your... like I say multiple times, if you don't like Winnie the Pooh, I don't know if I trust you as a person. So those are my favorite top 15 books of 2024. Let me know what some of your favorite books from 2024 were, because I'm sure it's hard to narrow down all of them. I was going to put Ilion and Actar as 1 and 2, but I felt really bad putting anything over Winnie the Pooh because Winnie the Pooh. But yeah. Let me know. Like I said, let me know in the comments what your favorite books of 2024 were. I might do a second video, or maybe a short, talking about my favorite nonfiction, because I actually read a lot of really good nonfiction this year, which is really weird for me. So if you want to see that, let me know. And I will see y'all next time. Please like and subscribe. Bye.